The hostage-ceasefire deal was the top agenda in the Security Cabinet meeting, which took place at the Israel Defense Forces IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv. Now this as hundreds of Israelis hit the streets outside the building, continuing protests against the government for its failure to secure the hostages' return. They urged the cabinet to do more to secure a deal with Hamas.
And sign a deal that will get our son is a soldier, Israeli soldier. He's there for 11 months, and we can't get it anymore. That our government can let him die in the tunnels of Hamas.
According to reports, the relatives of hostages were told by a senior member of the Israeli negotiating team that a hostage ceasefire deal is unlikely in the near future. The negotiator told the families the only way forward is to end the war, keep acting to get the public behind bringing about an end to the war. Numerous rounds of diplomacy have so far failed to clinch a ceasefire deal to end the conflict and bring the release of Israeli and foreign hostages still held captive in Gaza by Hamas. The United States is reportedly in constant touch with Qatar and Egypt as it works on a new deal. After the recent killing of hostages, which included one Israeli American, President Joe Biden is said to be hesitant to reward Hamas with further concessions in the deal. Meanwhile, Israel has upped its ante against Hamas. This video that you see on your screens now was released by the country's army. It is said to be of military strikes on Hamas targets in Gaza. According to local medics, Israeli military strikes across the strip killed at least 61 people in the last 48 hours. Meanwhile, on a visit to Gaza, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant listed the country's goals: first, to eliminate Hamas, and second, to bring back the hostages. He said that Israel was also preparing for a possible escalation in the north.
We are looking at the entire war front, and this means that while you are fighting here in Gaza, we are preparing for anything that can happen in the north and moving the center of gravity that can be quick and can also include you on a short schedule. We are preparing for all of these possibilities.
At least 14 people were killed in multiple Israeli strikes on Syria's Hama countryside. According to local health officials, 13 people were also injured in the attack. Meanwhile, a gunman killed 3 Israeli civilians along the border with Jordan at the Allenby Bridge border crossing in the occupied West Bank. The gunman, a Jordanian national named Maher al-Jazi, was later shot dead by the security officers. According to Israeli authorities, Jordanians chanted slogans as they hit the street in support of al-Jazi.
Video from Israel's ambulance service showed emergency vehicles at the Allenby Bridge border in the occupied West Bank on Sunday after what the Israeli military said was a deadly shooting by a gunman who approached from Jordan. The military said 3 Israeli civilians were killed after the attacker got out of a truck in the bridge area and shot at security forces there. They added that Israeli forces eliminated the gunman. The Israeli manager of the crossing said 3 workers were shot dead at close range. It's the first such attack along the border with Jordan since Palestinian Islamist group Hamas launched an assault on southern Israel on October the 7th, sparking the latest war in Gaza that has ratcheted up tensions across the region. It took place in a commercial cargo area under Israeli control where Jordanian trucks offload cargo entering the West Bank, officials said. At a cabinet meeting, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu strongly condemned the shooting.
This is a difficult day. A loathsome terrorist murdered in cold blood 3 of our civilians at Allenby Bridge.
Jordanian officials said the crossing was closed and that they had begun an investigation into the shooting. The assailant was a 39-year-old truck driver who came from an influential tribe in southern Jordan, according to family members. Israel and Jordan signed a peace treaty in 1994 and have close security ties. Dozens of trailers cross daily from Jordan with goods from Jordan and the Gulf that supply both the West Bank and Israeli markets.
Our correspondent Jody Cohen elaborates on the current prospects of a hostage-ceasefire deal. Listen to this.
The weekend we saw mass rallies in Israel calling for a hostage release deal. Now, the US had been expected to present what was being called a final take it or leave it proposal over the weekend. That's now thought to be unlikely to be presented until an agreement is closer. According to reports, there's broad pessimism among the Israeli negotiators, one of whom told a hostage family that a deal is unlikely to happen anytime soon. Now, President Biden doesn't want to reward Hamas with further concessions. That's after Hamas executed 6 hostages, including American hostage Hersh Goldberg Polin, and US negotiators are reportedly urging Egyptian and Qatari mediators to see what Hamas's limits are. Now, there's been a report by Israel's Channel 12 which suggested that in the absence of a deal, it could mean that Hezbollah could escalate their attacks on Israel, and that's after August saw the highest level of rocket fire from Lebanon into northern Israel.
Jody also tells us if there's a possibility of further escalation on Israel's northern border with Lebanon.
Former War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, who's now in the opposition, has said that the international community must back increased pressure on Hamas for a deal. But he said that if a deal isn't possible, that Israel's focus should turn towards Iran and its proxy Hezbollah, which he said are the real issues. Remember, Israel has said that it's defending itself on 7 different fronts, from Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza and the West Bank, Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria, the Houthis in Yemen, the Islamic resistance in Iraq, and from Iran itself. There have also been reports of Iranian-led plots to smuggle weapons into the West Bank from Jordan, and there was a shooting attack from a Jordanian on Sunday which killed 3 Israelis. Now, Jordan's King Abdullah has rejected targeting civilians and has also said that militant groups must be confronted. And on Monday there were strikes reported in Syria at what is said to be a base for Iranian forces and weapons manufacturing, and Defence Minister Gallant met with CENTCOM Chief General Kirya in Israel to discuss the regional situation.